Pole.
Siniende to home. Hi everyone. Good evening. Good evening. It's 1 minute past 7 p.m. Thursday, the 9th of November, the year of our Lord 2023. I hope you're all doing well. I can't see who's on Instagram or how do I check? All right, let's see. Okay. I can only see IG. Senor Dan, W_Yhenya. 3 others have joined. Hey, thank you so much for the 3 others. And everyone else who's logging on. Gladys, I see you. You're number 5. Sorry for showing you guys my bald head. I'm checking who's logged on Instagram before I get too far into our usual weekly conversation. I hope you're all doing well, in good health, and full of hope for a better tomorrow for yourselves, your families, your loved ones. I truly hope so. And I thank you all for joining our live Thursday live event. We do this weekly, where we get to have a conversation, answer your questions around real estate investment, land investment specifically, because that's our specialty. We are experts when it comes to land investment in Kenya. I've been doing it for 12 and a half years now, so we know something. You can learn from our mistakes and our successes and hopefully shorten the curve to your own success. That's the whole point for today. It's all about you. So I encourage you all to be as participatory as possible. If you know someone you like, love, and respect who would benefit from today's session, please share this link with them immediately before we start yapping too much. Okay? If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please take the next minute or so and do so. We really appreciate your subscriptions. They do make our efforts worth it. So please take a moment to subscribe, like the videos, especially today's, and share the link, please. Don't be shy. If you learn something from these sessions, why keep it to yourself? Spread the love. That's the whole point. So with those, no, it's not too late, Senor _Dan. You can put in your questions live as we speak. Thank you for messaging. Please go ahead, Senor Dan. I'd love to know your real name, if that were possible. But please go ahead and share your question. You have a comment, an observation around the property sector that you've noticed and want to talk about, that's also welcome. You have any criticism, whether it's of us or anything else in the sector, please go ahead and do so. We welcome every engagement possible. All right, it's now 5 minutes past 7. We tend to do this for an hour strictly. So without much further ado, let's get started. Who's the first question? Senor Dan hasn't sent his. Okay, Senor _Dan, we're waiting for your question. Whoever else has a question, please go ahead and type them in the comments on whatever platform that you're watching. I will be happy to answer. If you don't, I'm just gonna sit here and stare at the camera until you do. Hey, what's up, Ahadi group? I see you guys. Hi to you. You guys have been lost. Thank you for tuning in today. I always get excited when I see Ahadi group. on the live links.
Can I read out a question from TikTok?
Yes, please.
Ron Keno, in real estate, how would you get other people's money to purchase what you calculated? In real estate, how would you get other people money to purchase what they've calculated would work?
Ron who?
Keno.
Ron Keno, he's messaging us on what platform?
On TikTok.
Ron Keno on TikTok. I thank you so much for sending in your question. Please retype it and reshare because we're having trouble understanding your specific question. Please do us that favor. I will be happy to answer. Guys, I'm getting sleepy waiting for your questions. Send them in quick before I black out. Today's session is all about you. Alternatively, if you have no questions or comments to make whatsoever, please go ahead and type that in there. Enough of you do so, we'll be happy to end the session and we can all go home. Yeah. David is laughing. He thinks I'm joking.
We have a question from TikTok.
TikTok question. All right, let's go.
Okay, it's a user and a very long number. Hi, sir. Is it advisable to build a residential home in a leasehold land?
Is it advisable to build a residential property
in a leasehold land?
On a leasehold land? Yes, there's nothing wrong with that as long as all the documents were produced right, then you have the appropriate zoning for the residential use. Absolutely. There is no difference whether it's leasehold or freehold. The point is the zoning. So as long as the zoning is good for residential purpose, 100% it is okay. Thank you for your question. All the best with your construction. Lanis Haven Ishina says, hello, sir. My question is, can the county government turn one's freehold land into leasehold? If yes, what are the steps? Thank you. The answer is yes, Lamanis. To the extent that the county is responsible for the change of use and change of tenure process, you'd have to engage the services of a licensed or a registered planner. That's primarily what they do. They will do the research on what the county requires, what restrictions there might be. They'll prepare what they call a planning brief, which they will then submit to the county. And this is usually managed under the section of the law that we call the Physical Land Use Planning Act, the PLUPA 2019 version. That's the latest one. They will prepare the planning brief in compliance with the PLUPA 2019, submit that to the county government through the Ministry of Lands for that particular county, or the executive committee member or executive department that deals with land, physical planning, urban planning, and that sort of thing. Once the county issues the compliance certificate and approval, then you will surrender that freehold title to the relevant land registry, which will then proceed through the land administrator in particular to change the tenure of that land from freehold to leasehold, and they will produce a brand spanking new 99-year renewable lease certificate of title, and it's accompanying lease, and Bob's your uncle. Fairly simple, takes a bit of time, and has to be done, obviously, right? So, excuse me. Work with licensed professionals. Always. Never take shortcuts because it'll come back to bite you later. Registered planner, licensed advocate, a survey is good to keep handy, and you can get it done without much issue. It's actually easier to convert from freehold to leasehold than it is to go backwards from leasehold to freehold, because the conversion from freehold to leasehold is creating revenue generation opportunities for the county as well as national government. Sorry, I'm trying to open my bottled water. We only drink sparkling water. We're bougie like that. So yes, it's easier to do it that way. So Lanis, I hope I've answered your question. All the best to you. Hadi Group on Instagram says, I was talking to a lawyer today and he mentioned that Athi River has suspended the green card issuance. How do we go about that? Thanks for your question, Hadi Group. Please clarify what you mean by how do you go about that? Is there a part two to that question?
Yeah.
Okay, let me see that. Hadi Group says, sorry, I meant Machakos County, not Athi River. Okay, Athi River is within Machakos County. So you are excused, the Hadi Group, one and the same. How do you go about what exactly? I mean, if the lands office, and just for clarity, yes, Machakos County does have a registry. I think the registry for Athi River is in Mavoko, Athi River, Mavoko sub-county. The county has no authority to suspend issuance of green cards because green cards are issued only by the national government's Ministry of Lands. So if it's a ministry that has suspended the issuance of green cards, well and good, they have the authority to do so. That's their mandate. And I'm sure they will gazette or announce when they will be reissuing those, particularly because of what's happening in Athi River. Understandably, they might want to put a pause on things so that no monkey business happens and they don't, sort of pass things through that ought not to be passed or sanitized. Okay, so as long as the Ministry of Lands has suspended the issuance of green cards, the Hadi Group, there's absolutely nothing you can do to obtain the green card. You just have to wait until they restart the process. Okay. In the meantime, I strongly recommend that you make sure all other documents relative to that property, besides the green card, are okay. Okay, that gives you time to cross your T's and dot your I's, if you will. So take advantage of that opportunity and just wait for the Ministry of Lands to start issuing green cards again. I hope that helps. And I hope you're working with a licensed advocate. Senior_Dan finally sends this question on Instagram on how can you find out the process for purchasing island territory in either the coast region or lake region. How can you find out the process of purchasing island territory? Senior_Dan, island or no island territory, the process is exactly the same. Land is land. So do your due diligence, work with a licensed advocate to do that for you, and they can advise you. Unless you want to provide me some more details and so I can color that answer a little bit more based on the way you've asked a question, it's neither here nor there. Purchasing land, island territory at the coast, the lake, wherever, is the same as purchasing it deep in the heart of the countryside. Okay, the laws do not discriminate between island territories and other parts of the country. So hope that's clear. Thank you. Ron_Keno on TikTok says, how would I get money from people as investors rather than debtors to purchase a real estate? As investors rather than debtors? I'm not sure I get your question, Ron_Keno, because either way, you owe the money, whether it's interest or whatever return you're promising them in equity from the real estate transaction, you still owe them. So you're still indebted to them. So maybe if you can provide me more color, I can be a bit more surgical with my answer. But in terms of how you get money, you simply have to make a compelling case. You need to be really good at telling the story of the opportunity that you're presenting them. It has to be compelling. It has to be truthful. It has to be factual. Don't lie to people for the sake of doing a deal. That is poor character and sure to land you in trouble. So tell the facts straight in an interesting manner. Be creative. Be very specific about what is in it for them. You know, one of the things I really hate about Kenyans, and forgive me, I know hate is a strong word, but it is an apt term to describe exactly how I feel and think about it. Yesterday, I was at the airport waiting to be picked up. I was coming back home. And this gentleman walked up to me, a cab driver or a cab owner, taxi owner, walked up to me as they typically do when you're standing around the arrival area. They presume that you need a ride to wherever you need to go. So nothing wrong there. So he walks up to me and says, hey, bro, can you can I take you where you need to go so that I can make money to buy food today? As Kenyans, you know, we hear that a lot. Support me so I can buy food, or buy this so that I can do the other. While I understand what they're saying, as a consumer of a product or a service, I do not give a rat's behind why you're doing what you're doing. What you need to be good at is explaining to me why your service or product is the best for me, not you. I'm not going to buy something so that you can eat. The reason I would be in the market to buy that particular thing should be of paramount importance to you. Does it suit my needs? Is it the best product? Is the price fair? So on and so forth. You as a seller need to be very precise about why it is good for your buyer. End of story. The reason you're doing it is not the buyer's business. You know, you could be starving, you could be about to die of starvation for all the buyer cares. You know, let's be real. I don't buy things because of what the seller needs. I buy things because I need them, not the seller needing something because I bought it. If they happen to sort out their other things because of selling me something, well and good. Priority number one, what's in it for me as a buyer? In your situation, Ron_Keno, you're trying to sell an investment opportunity to other individuals. Why should they risk their capital with you as opposed to someone else? Okay, what's in it for them? End of story. Why you're doing it and what you're hoping to get out of it is immaterial to the buyer. In this case, a buyer for you is your investor or lender. What's in it for them? So make sure your story is compelling. is clear, it's understandable in the quickest way possible, and that they understand what the opportunity for gain is for them. Human beings make most decisions primarily because of two things. First one is desire for gain, desire for more, desire for better. Okay, we buy clothes because we want to look professional, we want to look presentable. We gain something out of that. Social status, just psychological comfort and ease, knowing that we're not exposing our nakedness to the world out there. Everything we do as human beings is primarily because we're trying to gain something. The other reason is because we're trying to avoid loss. So, desire for gain, avoidance of loss. Those are the two main driving forces behind decisions that human beings make, particularly when it comes to parting with their money, with their capital, their financial resources. What are they gaining, or what is it going to help them prevent from losing? Like insurance. So why do you take insurance cover? You try to prevent loss. Why on earth would you spend 50,000 shillings on comprehensive insurance for your vehicle for the next year, when every day you're praying that God will keep you from getting into an accident? Those are two diametrically opposed concepts. You drive safely, you're not a reckless driver, but you drive safely and pray every day, keep me safe on the roads, dear God. But you're paying an insurance agency, okay, partially because the law says you can't be on the road without it, but the reason one would choose comprehensive versus third party or whatever is because they're trying to mitigate against possible loss within that year. Okay, so desire for gain, avoidance of loss. Ron, you need to be very good about communicating what the gain opportunity is for your investor/lender. Primarily, that's what drives investors' decisions. Avoidance of loss, not so much. Maybe for your customers of your real estate product. You could talk about what losses they are avoiding by dealing with you as opposed to some other knucklehead out there on the streets. I hope that helps, Ron. That's a great question, and I wish you all success in telling your story, your fundraising story effectively. Thank you. Ken on TikTok. Imboko 6 coming soon, Ken. Stay tuned. Don't snooze for 1 second, because Imboko 6 will fly out the door faster than we can send emails out. We already have a growing waiting list. So just stay tuned. Once it's ready, we will let you know. If you're keen on getting onto the early bird list, please message us, inbox us, DM us, give us your details so that even before we do blast the information out to all our social media platforms or other media outlets, we can inform you first. You get first dibs before the general public gets an opportunity. So please stay tuned, and thank you for asking. Lanis Haven Ichina. Follow up. Can they do the change, I guess, from freehold to leasehold without my involvement on their own? Yani, like them converting without my own initiative? Absolutely not. As far as I know, you have to be the one initiating the process, because very specific things have to be done, including your surrender of the title deed to the Ministry of Lands for the conversion. Not all title deeds were made equal. Leasehold versus freehold property have very specific title deed formats. So no, the answer is no, can't be done without your involvement, unless there's some monkey business going on. In which case, I do hope Lanis Haven Ishina that you do have a licensed advocate in your corner to make sure that everything's been done right. Matthew Inga Ngede, hello, sir. Trust you are well. Where can one network meet up regularly with investors and developers like you? Are there regular events or meetups available that I can be part of? WhatsApp groups, etc. Your assistance would be highly appreciated. Um, Matthew, that's a great question. I cannot think of any sort of structured, regular meetup, sort of networking meetup for the description you just gave, investors and developers. Outside of real estate expos and so on, I am not aware of any. Best thing to do is just put yourself out there. Attend any and every meeting that you can that involves real estate investors and developers, like you say. Ask for referrals. Introduce yourself to one whenever you see one. Um, you'll be amazed what happens when you tell people what you do and what you're seeking, just like you have on this question. WhatsApp groups, plenty. Unfortunately, none of the groups that I am a part of will admit you unless you're being introduced in a very particular way for good reason. People don't want to deal with jokers and tire kickers, right? So there's a vetting process for most meaningful WhatsApp groups of the kind that you're describing. So, Matthew, strongest advice I'd give you is put yourself out there, let people understand what you do, introduce yourself one-on-one basis, be excellent at building relationships with people, and they will introduce you to those spaces. Okay? And your professionalism above all, the quality of your work, your integrity, your reputation, all that stuff counts. I am saying this to you, presuming that everything else is okay. That you're not a liar, you're not a con man, you're not lazy, that you don't leave your house without brushing your teeth or ironing your shirt. Okay, the basics are sorted. Put yourself in front of people, your work will speak for itself, and you should find yourself being introduced to those kinds of spaces. So I wish you all success, Matthew. Yeah. Stony Madiaba. Oh my goodness, what kind of name is that? Stony Madiaba on TikTok. I hope that is not literal. But we move on. Can I develop an existing structure on my land without permits? No, you cannot. You're supposed to get permits from the county for everything you put up on your land, okay? Find out from the county office, tell them what you want to develop, and they'll advise you accordingly. Awesome. Senior_Dan on Instagram says, did you have to complete a plan with the county for Okikun on how the wastewater is to be treated and how the live use water is to be brought in, even though you might have drilled a borehole? Live use water, I'm not sure what that means. Live use water is to be brought in, even though you might have drilled a borehole. Isn't the borehole the live use water? Senior_Dan, please clarify for me what you're asking. But yes, in short, you have to complete plans and submit them to the county for consideration for planning approvals. Absolutely. It's very involving. You need architects if you're going to do master planning. A lot of people confuse architects with registered planners. People think they do the same thing, not so. Architect deals with the creative aspects of highest and best use of the land, depending on location, topography, use, desired use, so on and so forth. Registered planners will then convert that into a format that is submissible to the county authorities, being compliant with the Physical Land Use and Planning Act of 2019. In addition, you will need surveyors, you will need civil engineers to design your water reticulation, your power needs, power reticulation, wastewater treatment, water runoff from stormwater. How is it going to be drained? Do you need culverts? Which way should it be drained? You may also need landscape architects to shape the surface of the land to suit the purpose for which you're trying to use the land for. It involves a lot, including public gazettements of your plans. Change of use is likely in that situation. You need public participation hearings with members of your local community so that they can register objections and concerns if there are any. It's a requirement. And once you're done with all that, you submit them to the various county offices and counterparties to issue letters of no objection. Your registered planner will deal with that exercise. They will not deal with you. County office only speaks to registered planners, so no shortcuts. Work with licensed professionals, or else you'll be doing foolish things that will cost you time and money. Okay? And you forgive me for being direct about this stuff because a lot of people have the misconception that they can simply do it themselves. There is a reason people go to school for years and sit exams to be licensed and pay for licenses every year in order to do these things. You cannot do it on your own unless you are a licensed professional yourself with a relevant competence. So you'll need to work with all these professionals, get it done right, being compliant with the law, and once it's approved, you're good to go. Especially when it has to do with wastewater treatment. Your designs have to be specific. What kind of system are you proposing to use? Does the county think it's enough? More importantly, does the National Environmental Management Agency or authority agree? They are the ones who deal mostly with issues of wastewater treatment, the location of that treatment, the evacuation of that water, so on and so forth. And for that, you will need the services of an environmental impact assessment specialist, an environmental expert, environmentalist, if you will. They prepare environmental impact assessments, reports that you will submit to the NEMA agency, who will then decide whether your designs are sufficient and respectful of the environment. So I hope I've answered your question, senior_Dan, and I wish you all success with whatever project you're working on. W.Y. Henya on Instagram. What is the process of buying ancestral land in Kenya? Okay, please provide me better clarity, Y. Henya. The process for buying land in Kenya, whether it's ancestral or not, is exactly the same as any other land. Unless you are referring to adjudication, which I've covered before, please check out our archives on our social media platform or our YouTube channel, Online in Kenya. You should find some videos I've done about adjudication specifically, in which case you will need the services of a licensed advocate to guide you. But if you're not talking about adjudication, ancestral or otherwise, process is exactly the same with everything else. For more details, go to our website, www.grandacres.co.ke. I'll repeat that again, www.grandacres.co.ke. Find the tab that says checklist, download it. It's absolutely free. It's 9 steps to buying land safely in Kenya. If you follow every one of those 9 steps, you should be good to go. But make sure you have a licensed advocate in your corner while you do. All the best, Wahenia. Thank you for your question. JMO_M on Instagram. says, other than an advocate, can I use a surveyor or DCI, Directorate of Criminal Investigation, I believe is what DCI stands for, to apply for a land green card when my advocate says they don't know how to go about it? Wow. Okay, number one, fire that advocate immediately. Work with competent professionals. JMO, fire them immediately. Find another one. Find the one who knows how to go about it, which is why I always tell people work with advocates who specialize in conveyancing. Specialize being the key word because they deal with green cards all day long. They would know exactly what to do. Number two, surveyor cannot do that for you. It's not their job. It's not their job description. It's not their competency. Number three, the police cannot do that for you. Unless there's a fraud situation you need to report and generate a police report, there is absolutely no way that the DCI would be involved in applying for a green card. Green cards are issued by the Ministry of Lands, provided you have followed strictly the due process necessary for them to issue one, a licensed advocate who is worth their weight in the certification that they receive from the Law Society of Kenya should be able to do that for you. So in that regard, again, fire that advocate immediately, find another one. If you need one, let us know. We'll be happy to recommend one that we work with a lot, and they can help you out. You guys still have Mr. Ranja's details, yeah? If JMO wants that detail, please share it with him. And all the best, JMO. No shortcuts, do it right. Download the checklist if you haven't yet. Share it with everyone you like, love, and respect. Okay, JMO, Gladys, who is to my left, I promise you she's not invisible, she's just off the camera, says that you should please message us on WhatsApp and request, and Bob's your uncle. All the best, sir. Thank you. Ahadi Group on IG. One more question. Right now, I have been thinking about construction, and I am more into the modern Western world type of homes. Is there a possibility whereby you can invite an architect or an engineer to give their views about construction and design? Thanks, Ahadi Group. I mean, that's good feedback. We can reach out to the few that we work with. We've actually already done a number of interviews. You can find those in our archives with two architects, Mr. Andrew Kusewa, the principal of Buchatman and Partners for Kenya. He did the master planning for our Acacia Co project, as well as Mr. Chris Osore, the principal of DLR Architects, which is an American-based firm. They are the ones who designed, master planned our Cancun project. We've done videos with both of them, useful for you there, but we will certainly look to having one of those on this session as soon as possible. Thank you for asking. User 393312052051 on TikTok. Thank you for tuning in. Hi, buddy. Please confirm, is it genuine this land port land selling at Mavoko? Please advise. Land port land selling. Please clarify your question, sir, so I can answer. I'm not sure what you mean by land port land selling at Mavoko means. Okay, thank you. Reynold Onea, with the new rates for title deeds that have been proposed by the government, has that affected anything currently on your end? Reynold Onea, thank you for that question. The answer is no. has not affected anything currently on our end. I don't believe it will. The increments, as extreme as they sound in terms of proportions or to what they were initially, still not untenable. Reality is those fees have been the same for decades, um, which should not be the case. Those fees should be reflective of the current situation, the value of transactions, cost of business for government, cost of title deed papers, all the administrative things that the government has to take care of. I mean, paying 2,000 shillings instead of 500 shillings for a search, yeah, it's a 400% increment, but you're looking at buying a piece of land for 1 million shillings or more, you can't be complaining about an extra 1,500 shillings. Same with title deeds and any number of those uh, gazetted fee increments. I would have issues if they were increasing the stamp duty rates, which they are not, because those are more material, as they are a function of the value of the transaction, which in Kenya, if you're dealing with leasehold property, is 4% stamp duty as a transfer tax. If you're dealing with freehold land, it's 2% of the transaction value or government valuation, whichever is greater, usually. So, no, hasn't affected currently anything on our end. Thank you for asking. Okay, we've got 17 minutes remaining. It's 7:43 p.m. Great questions. Let's see how many more we can cover. Funny Videos 21 on TikTok says, when will you start building all Kekun? As soon as we have county permits for construction. As it turns out, just because you have county approvals for change of user and all that, you also have to obtain a different set of permits, construction permits, to actually do stuff on the ground, which is what we're pursuing now. This is Okekuni is under Nakuru County, which has been experiencing inordinate delays because of the new system, which is digital. Like Nairobi, you have to submit everything on an online platform, and it goes through the process, and that has had major teething issues and problems that have delayed our permit requisition, but the process is well underway, and the contractor should be advising us shortly, and then we can start building. Thank you for asking. J&M Beauty Products on Instagram. How do you project the growth of land which you want to buy for commercial purposes to sell later? Well, you project the growth of the land value the same way you do anything else. You do your research, look at historical trends, look at the current situation. Are there any prospects for development of infrastructure and amenities in that location in the near future? You can speak to property experts, particularly those who deal with data. We have a number of indices in Kenya. Famous one is House Consults Land Index, good document to read through. I know Knight Frank does one as well from time to time. Probably also some of the feasibility study professionals. It's a great way to go about that. Engage one professionally, and they'll conduct a study, research for you, and give you a very specific report for your location. And then you can make an informed decision. Yeah, and all the best. James on YouTube says, in terms of land disputes with neighbors, are their costs should one party is found to have infringed to the other party's land. Okay, let me try and re-edit that sentence in my mind. In terms of land disputes with neighbors, are there costs that one party should cover if they are found to have infringed on the other party's land? Um, it depends on what mechanism you're using to resolve the dispute. James, I would say, if it's a more like a neighborhood tribunal with a local area chief, the relevant Ministry of Lands registrar and surveyor, if it goes that far, you know, costs can be agreed and witnessed by all those parties present. If you end up having to go to court, the court will decide. Okay? As much as possible, it's always advised that you avoid finding yourself in court because court takes a lot of time and is very expensive. So, to whatever extent you can resolve the dispute amicably with your neighbor informally, um, would be the best way to go. If not possible, because sometimes it's not, your neighbors, some neighbors are just unwilling to engage, and you truly believe that your rights, your property rights have been infringed upon, then taking the situation to the Environment and Land Court would be necessary. And in that situation, the court will decide who covers what costs. All the best, James. I hope you can sort that one out without much drama. A Hadi group on Instagram says, any plots left in Akejiko? Asking for a friend. Yes, a Hadi group, we have a few lots remaining. Please, you know where to send your friend. And we'd be happy to engage with them. Should they be keen to proceed, we are also happy to consider a discount for them, being that they are your friends, and Ahadi Group is special to Team Grand Acres. Thank you for asking, and we look forward to serving them. No more questions? Okay, Build Big Brigade on TikTok. I saw you Kitambo San. I'm happy mpaka you have white hair. Kweli tumezeeka. Thank you, Build Brigade. I wish I knew your real name. But yes, tunakula chumvi. Hali ya maisha. Thank you for your comment. Sir Prestige, a marketing psychology lesson is in session level. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that kind comment as always. Kevin Rohio says, hi, really enjoyed and the session is very informative. Maybe one day I will be a client. Thank you, Kevin, for that kind compliment and for watching. And we too pray earnestly that one day we would have the pleasure of serving you as a client. So God bless you, man. All the best. Indovu Kids Praise says, thank you for doing the lives, very informative and educational. Blessed. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and I'm glad that you find them informative and helpful. We have 10 more minutes to 8. We're out of questions. It's okay. Let's read the comments if there's no questions. Kuria Paul says, hello, Grandmaster. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Kuria. Appreciate it. Okay, I guess we're done. It would be awesome if we ended the session before 8 p.m. for once. Okay, let's see. Let's give it a couple more minutes. Renee on TikTok says, "Thank you so much for the sober advice. I hope to engage your services soon." Thank you, Renee, for that kind compliment, and we look forward to serving you soon, sooner than soon. Okay, 8 minutes to 8 p.m. That would be a good time to end, right? Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. For those of you who sent in your questions and comments, we really appreciate you. I look forward to doing this again next week on Tuesday, where we do the live calls or voice note recordings. And we'll get this party started again then. Indovu Kids Praise, any vacancies? Potentially, depending on what your speciality is, reach out. We'll be happy to give you more information. Do so on WhatsApp, much easier. You can send your comment to 07 001 0001. Again, that's 07 001 0001. All right. God bless you all and enjoy your weekend. Grand acres to you all.
Pretty boy Rasta live and direct. Shout out to all the loyal Wakurugenzi. With me is none other than the land connoisseur himself, Manati Bila Grady, Pedi wa Mashake. Shamba ya Karen unaiangalia kwa nini? Una window show pizza na pesa ya madondo. Surely. Surely, surely, surely.
Let it stop black. 43 top black.